Unexpectedly, Aaron, who had only known tears and self-blame, had finally grown into someone capable of standing on her own. As Lunel uncontrollably pressured Aaron, Rezimus spoke up in warning, "Please stop your current disrespectful actions immediately. Even if you are a prince, if you continue to threaten Princess Aaron, I must take action." Lunel immediately turned his hostility elsewhere, his eyes filled with anger and resentment. "You're an insufferable fool. What can you do, you parasite who lives off others? For your earlier offense against me, I could easily order your execution along with your family and erase your surname from this world." "Enough." Aaron spoke up to stop Lunel. "Brother, you must have a reason for coming here, right? Or was there something you wished to hear from me?" Aaron's reaction seemed to overturn Lunel's previous perception of her. How could she remain so composed? Was this the same sister who had once desperately sought approval, thus displaying utter weakness? Lunel's madness was partly genuine, partly feigned, aimed at gaining the upper hand in the confrontation. But Aaron went straight to the heart of the conflict. "Or perhaps I should just tell you, I, Aaron Sevalus, have never received any gift from you." Hearing this, Lunel was gravely shocked. Previously, in Aaron's meeting with the Emperor, the broken necklace containing the magic stone had drawn the Emperor's attention. Although Lunel repeatedly claimed that the Stone of Bewilderment was just a magic stone used by the Black Blood clan to control monsters, the Emperor turned serious. "I have received word that someone within the Imperial city has secretly purchased them. The black market dealer, Gilbert, and the maid, Marilda. The two appear to have had a long trade partnership, which suggested their involvement in the banquet's conspiracy. But the two of them are either dead or missing." Hearing this, Aaron froze for a moment in shock. The Emperor's spies found that they had been closely associated with Lunel. "Do you truly have no memory of receiving anything from him? Did he not give you that necklace as a gift?" Aaron, who's currently nervous, denied it. "I received nothing from my brother, father." Hearing this, the Emperor is silent and expression remained troubled. Aaron continued, "Now that you have found out who it was that procured the stones, Lunov's name is clear, so please release her. She saved many people at the banquet, father." The Emperor agreed to release Lunov. "Very well, do not worry about her." Aaron's decision to cover for Lunel stemmed only from her fear that her troubled brother would be pushed into a corner. With too many people already dead for her sake, the only way Aaron could think of to protect those around her was to swallow the bitter pill of betrayal alone. "Is this not what you wanted, elder brother?" "I said the same thing in front of father." Lunel's face darkened. "You're right, I never gave you any gifts. But what's with this attitude now? It's as if I've done something wrong. Speaking of which, that subordinate of yours who just insulted me, shouldn't I do something about her first?" Aaron sighed lightly. "For that, I am very sorry. But now, I have a very important guest to attend to." Clearly, this was a dismissal. Lunel, surprised, asked, "Is there someone more important than me?" Aaron candidly replied, "He is very important to me." Following Aaron's gaze, Lunel finally noticed the figure quietly standing in the corner. I said solemnly, "Forgive me, it was not my intent to eavesdrop, but I heard everything just now." Lunel, in disbelief, thought to himself, "I didn't sense him at all. Why is he even here?" Lunel, still feeling as if he had seen a ghost, asked, "How long have you been hiding there?" I simply replied, "What do you mean hiding? I just naturally don't stand out much." He took this as a challenge. "So what are you trying to do now? Spouting nonsense in front of me?" I was not intimidated by his bluster. "So what? Are you planning to do something to me too? Make my surname disappear from this world? Will you silence me as well?" Lunel quickly assessed the situation. The news of their engagement, was it true? The failed fifth princess and the child of the Emperor's most trusted friend. Now was not the time to make enemies. When Ashel told me he wanted to get rid of his youngest brother, I was dismissive. After all, my reason for eliminating Aaron was to remove a competitor for the throne. But Ashel's explanation was that this brother irritated him. The Duke of Verd had given Ashel the utmost trust and attention, yet he was deeply wary of the hidden strength of this younger brother. Now I finally understand why. Because just the presence of this young man was already so unpleasant. Just what is this unpleasant, overpowering feeling I sense from him? The next second, Lunel suddenly became lighthearted. "Fine, I'll stop here. I was just joking. Now that your misunderstanding has been resolved, I'll head out." This did not quite match my previous life's impression of him. At this time, Lunel was not nearly as mad as he would be later when he became a tyrant. As he turned to leave, he even apologized to Rezimus. Rezimus nodded slightly in response. "It's nothing. Apologies for my rude conduct as well." But Lunel's parting warning still revealed his true thoughts. "Yes, be careful in the future." After Lunel left, Rezimus breathed a sigh of relief, then candidly said, "That crown prince is really nasty. Thanks for stepping in just now, young Master Cyan." Only then did I realize that this genius, once hailed as the greatest swordsman on the continent in a past life, actually had such a bold personality, which I found intriguing. At this moment, Aaron's face turned red. He was so close to me. I could even smell his scent. I answered Rezimus, "Nothing much. Her Highness did all the work." Aaron immediately answered, "What did I do? I was only that confident because you were with me." The next moment, I had already sat down next to her. "Are you just sitting here?" I couldn't help but retort, "Can I?" My legs were hurting from standing all that time. Aaron's face turned even redder. "No, it's not like you're not permitted." Aaron's response was as quiet as a mosquito's, barely audible. Rezimus, observing from the side, couldn't help but think to herself, "He really is an incurable fool. He really can't take a hint." I then said, "Your performance just now really impressed me. Now Lunov must think we are allies, so he won't dare to make a move on you so rashly. Then I'll be leaving." "Yes, take care," Rezimus answered, but deep inside, she thought he really just took off after doing what he was here for. How heartless of him. After Lunov left, still seething, he sought out Ishel. "Didn't you say your plan was perfect? But now, the people we wanted dead are still alive. Worst of all, I've lost my father's trust. This can't be happening to me. I should have been the hero of this damned empire. But why has everything turned out this way?" Ishel remained calm, letting Lunov vent. He had long understood how to deal with the crown prince. At that moment, another voice suddenly interjected. "We haven't come away empty-handed." Lunov immediately snapped. "Who is it? How dare you interrupt me?" Boris bowed apologetically. "Greetings, Your Highness." Seeing this, Lunov irritably asked, "Where were you this entire time?" Boris explained, indicating that he had been carrying out tasks arranged by Ishel all this time. However, Ishel showed a hint of dissatisfaction. "But now, the Emily you were supposed to eliminate has also disappeared. So where's this success you speak of?" Boris, ever composed, produced a sealed magical stone. "The fact is, we have always underestimated the strength of those around Princess Erin. This doesn't mean there was a mistake in the plan laid by His Majesty, but that the situation was more complex than anticipated. However, take a look at this." What he handed over was a combat crystal collected from residual energies on the battlefield. Most of the manas are ordinary, but there is one type of mana that is extremely rare. As he spoke, the energy of the black mist spread around the corridors. This energy has been deemed immensely evil and ominous by the church. It is, indeed, the power of the demon blade. Boris spoke in a low, chilling tone. "We must reassess someone close to Princess Erin. Undoubtedly, a formidable foe possessing the forbidden demon blade." Meanwhile, I returned to the secluded residence where Brian and the others were hiding. It must have been his first encounter with Emily's dark cuisine, and the experience seemed to have left him slightly charred on the outside. "I thought this was crab meat stew, but what's in front of me is clearly not," Brian declared immediately. To this, I reacted as if it were normal, while Nana indulged in the food like crazy. Emily was floating on air with happiness. "Eat slowly, Nana, slow down. I'm so glad you like my cooking." However, Brian's face crumbled. "I swear I just saw the ingredients move. It wasn't an illusion." Emily continued to urge more food, while I was already full. My return was merely to ensure their safety. Staying too long might allow Ishel to track down our location. Emily's attitude had changed so quickly. She had once admired Ishel so much, and now she was vehemently criticizing him. "I've also stationed some people near the safe house. This place is safer than any other place right now." After instructing everyone, I turned to leave. "You better visit us again," Emily added. I looked back and added, "I got it. Don't worry about that. Brian, I'll leave it to you while I'm gone." Brian answered lifelessly, "Yes, young master." Just as I turned the corner of the alley, a teasing laugh came through. "What a warm and lovely family." It was Sica. "How about you explain yourself? Isn't it about time you explained to me how you knew about the bloody banquet and the identity of my fiancé? How did you know about that and act accordingly? It seems you know how the future will unfold." Unexpectedly, the first to suspect me was her. Sica was still aggressive. "Be careful with your answers because I might decide based on them whether you're an enemy or not. Just who are you?" Cyanvert. From the occurrence of the bloody banquet to the death of Drini and Nepolis, I showed composure about future events in her presence. If all this could be explained by advanced knowledge of information, then knowing about Sica's engagement, which she had always deeply guarded, seemed illogical. After all, her family had been tight-lipped about it. "So, how did you know?" she pressed. I then retorted, "Drinian was a target for purification anyway. If the outcome is good, do these processes still matter that much?" But I never expected this superficial response to easily dismiss her. Facing her persistent questioning, my attitude became somewhat awkward. In this life, the relationship between Sica and me is more about mutual admiration for each other's professional abilities. These feelings are not enough for me to confess my secret of being reborn. Thus, even now as she suspects me of possibly being a spy from another organization, I remain indifferent. "What would you do if I were a spy?" Sica's response came without hesitation. Isn't the outcome of that question obvious? What fell faster than her words was the light sound of a double-edged strike. This mad woman, however, the one who took the attack from me, was a black mist, as tangible as reality. Sica steadied herself and spoke with a harsh tone. "You really have to block me, don't you?" The mist gradually condensed, and Kiram's figure appeared. "You never learn, do you? Haven't I told you not to bother my master?" Sica continued forward, sneering. "It seems Lord Kiram, you two were kept in the dark, but having the chance to fight with you is a happiness I've longed for." Kiram, infuriated, coldly said, "You're really starting to piss me off. Then I shall grant you that." Their figures interweaved like two fluttering butterflies, yet the sound of their blades clashing was as dense as a rapid rainfall. After a flurry of movements, Kiram could no longer hold back and unleashed his ultimate move. "All right, then let me show you something interesting." Kiram, having accumulated some power by devouring, burst forth with an aura that could not be ignored. Unable to wait to defeat this always unyielding opponent, Kiram was eager with a high battle spirit. Sica was equally prepared, yet her eyes could not hide her madness. Authority of the Black Fog, adamant. A massive black orb, carrying an unmatched momentum, thunderously smashed into the ground. Sica focused her mind, thinking, Even though this skill is powerful, I just need to concentrate on dodging. But even though the destruction bomb didn't hit, the impact of its landing still deeply shocked Sica. Is this the power of Lady K-Ram? If I had chosen to resist just now, I might be utterly destroyed by now. Is this why she was willing to transform into a sword? Sica realized that such power, if unchecked, could indeed easily destroy a city. However, K-Ram's expression was like she stepped in dog shit. Damn, I missed. Perhaps only a Demon King level strength could block such an attack. She now lacked the excess power to launch another attack like that. But even so, her fighting spirit was undiminished. This makes it even more interesting. I was just warming up. Hearing this, Sica showed no weakness, provoking K-Ram wildly. I can't wait, Lady K-Ram. I will also use my full power. However, the next second, Demon's Blade control. K-Ram's figure smashed heavily into the ground, still with a face of reluctance. Let me go. I was just getting started with her. I spoke with a face full of frustration. If you make that much ruckus, we're going to get caught hiding here. You idiot. Sica then realized I was right. I walked into the house, visibly irritated. You fool. Nana and the others were hiding here nicely, and now they all have to move because of you. Such a handful. These two. Settle things between you quickly. I'll go tell them to pack. After turning back into the room, I still had no clue about where we would move next, but a gentle word of comfort suddenly interrupted my thoughts. I didn't expect you to live here, Senior, and since the last time we met, your family members seem to have increased. Brian hurried to explain that Lunov had appeared suddenly while he was cleaning up. She had bypassed the barriers and guards I had set up, proving more troublesome than I had imagined. How did you find this place? Lunov calmly replied, it's one of my talents, but you don't need to worry. I'm the only one who knows about this place for now. Then, she curiously inquired about the commotion outside. The day was indeed chaotic, and I quickly changed the subject to ask about her purpose here. Lunov seriously said, actually, I came here just to tell you, thank you. I don't think I did anything for you to thank me, did I? Lunov took over the conversation smoothly. It's okay, as long as I know what happened. That day, the moment you entered my body, that sounded too ambiguous. Aside from Nana's eyes still clear, why does everyone else look at me like I'm some kind of sleazy criminal? But Lunov's words, this must be about when I used black mist energy to heal her injuries. I thought she had passed out at the time. Lunov continued to explain, because I can use all types of magical power, I can also freely modify and fuse these elements. This includes the ability to track special magic. Isn't that amazing? Grandpa said it was his gift to me. Although Lunov was describing her talents, her voice clearly carried a hint of melancholy. I frankly said, it's more like a curse. It has severely damaged your body, hasn't it? Lunov's face lit up with joy. So it really was you, wasn't it, Senior? I hadn't even answered when behind me, the whispers and murmurs of accusation grew louder. Let's discuss this topic elsewhere. Before leaving, I commanded loudly, you two better have everything sorted out by the time I get back. Emily timidly inquired, excuse me, may I ask where we are moving to? We're going to the Royal Academy. Emily's face lit up with excitement. That's great. There will be handsome coaches, and I can take care of the young master all day. How blissful. But Brian had no expectations for the life ahead, only sighing in resignation. Having to eat that kind of cuisine, Brian felt a mixture of emotions for a moment and didn't even respond to Nana's greeting. Finally, away from the noisy family, Lunov began to explain her origins. Most of my childhood memories are of living in a cold, dark place. There, I had to endure various painful experiments, but I bore it all silently because it was my duty, a duty inherent with carrying the Rain River surname, so there was no avoiding it. She looked up at me and asked, do you also have your own duties, Senior? Upon hearing Lunov's question, I quickly denied it. Not really. I don't have anything like that. Lunov said regretfully, then why do you hide the fact that you saved everyone? Concealment? A smart person like Lunov, who possesses the talent to track magic, naturally also has the ability to discern magic. I retorted, what is there to talk about? It would only cause trouble. You probably already know the reason, don't you? Lunov sighed lightly and suddenly stopped walking. The reason? During the conversation, a dense black mist rose from her hands. You're right, the magic within your body. I initially thought it was just ordinary dark attribute. In fact, I sensed something was off the first time we met. My expression stiffened, and I thought to myself, to detect the details of someone else's magic on the first meeting, her talent is indeed terrifying. Unaware, Lunov continued, but that day, after I fainted, the magic you infused into my body, just what is this? It seems to be yours and otherworldly at the same time. I interrupted her, so, are you planning to tell this to Raigan's Rain River? No, I don't want to do that. Lunov's expression remained unchanged. How should I tell you? Bringing this result to Grandpa would only cause unnecessary trouble. Should I trust this young girl before me? Yet her expression made it hard for me to doubt. So what now? Are you thinking of rebelling against your Rain River bloodline? Lunov suddenly moved closer. Don't you know, Senior, that there could be other reasons that prompted me to do this? As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly plunged into my arms. Thank you. She softly expressed her gratitude. You've relieved me of some long-standing pain. She had already noticed, at the moment my magic entered her body, I had realized that her body was like a boiling pot. A pot that continued to boil endlessly due to having mana of all kinds of elements. It was chaos itself, but someone shut the lid of that pot. It was probably to stop the loss of mana, but because it was boiled far too long, the overflowing mana began to extinguish the embers of her life. life, and Lunov was soon fated to die. I simply bore a hole into the lid of the pot, because in my eyes, she looked to be someone else's puppet as well, and that just frustrated me. There's nothing to thank me for. If you're done, I think I should be going. I hope you can keep this a secret from me. As we parted, I couldn't help but say, also, be careful not to overexert yourself again. This statement made Lunov smile lightly, just as I thought. You really are a good person, Senior Cyan. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Garum Magic Association, Reigen's Rain River was furious. His subordinates thought he was still worried about Lunov being arrested and hurried to share his concerns. However, Reigen said shockingly, that's not important, but Lunov unexpectedly stopped somewhere else on her way back. Arrange for someone to bring her to me immediately. Has this always obedient granddaughter suddenly developed her own will? After several days of travel, our group finally returned to the Royal Academy, but Emily's silly laughter never stopped. Does going to the Royal Academy make you this happy? I asked. Emily replied with a giggle, of course. After all, this way I can always take care of you, young master. However, Emily still worried about the Academy's rule against bringing maids, and I reassured her, don't worry, I will ask the Chancellor to make an exception for this. However, on the first day back at the Academy, I realized that I had been too optimistic about the outcome. No way, absolutely not. The Chancellor flatly refused my request. Chancellor's response was very firm. Even though I repeatedly assured that no one would notice their presence, he still gave me a chance to convince him. I shamelessly promised, I can assure you that I won't skip classes anymore. This statement immediately angered the kind old man. That is something you should be doing anyway, and you're using it to bargain, and you're telling me you want not one, but two maids. Then he called my attention. Then answer me this. He still voiced his suspicions. Are they related to the bloody banquet incident? Given the seriousness of your request, it doesn't seem to be any ordinary reason. Tell me, if I told him about the persecution Emily faced, this kind and wise old man would certainly not stand idly by, but I still chose to evade. That's, if you'd accept my offer, I'll tell you. He snapped. Whatever. Do as you like. So you're telling me you're going to do what you want in the end. It's hard to explain this matter in a short time. I continued, which made him look at my way. But the one thing I can assure you is that I am not the mastermind behind the bloody banquet. Isn't that the answer to the question you really want to know? Chancellor's gaze suddenly sharpened. Are you certain? I countered. I don't understand. How much of a scumbag do you think I am, to think that I would do such a thing? Chancellor finally relaxed his expression, sighing. You fool. Don't skip out on lectures in the first place. Negotiating with the Chancellor went relatively smoothly. I'm just curious, if he knew that the mastermind behind the bloody banquet was his most beloved eldest grandson, what would he think? From what I know, Lionel isn't that kind of meticulous character. The real schemer is probably a shell, with Boris refining and executing the plan. Among them, the financial support provided by the Chancellor Kusel family for the Grand Prince is indispensable. In my past life, we always worked as this combination. The difference is, at the end of every adventure mission, it was always me who wrapped things up. It wasn't until the moment of my death that I realized I had never been considered a comrade by them. Just as I turned around the corridor, a familiar figure appeared before me. It was Seth, the muscular man. He was still as diligent and hardworking, but haven't I bumped into him a bit too often lately? Seth greeted me familiarly. Hey, brother, you're finally back. Then he suddenly stood up, showing off his muscular upper body. Come on, let's have a fight. It's time to see who is the strongest man. He started again. I didn't respond, just silently passed by him. The atmosphere gradually became tense. Sure enough, he was the first to break under the awkwardness. Never mind, I see you're busy now, my friend. We'll fight next time. Cyan Vert. When I returned to the dormitory, I bumped into something. It turns out it was Brian, lying on the ground in agony. Looking at his situation, I asked myself, is he dead? I immediately called out to Emily. Emily, what's wrong with him? I asked. Hearing my question, Emily innocently said, I don't know. I just gave Brian some cookies. After he ate them, he went to sleep peacefully. Besides, Nana and I feel fine. After saying that, she opportunistically extended an invitation for me to eat. Would you like one? Is it really because of the cooking? One is a maid who is always clueless and completely fails to read the room. The other is Brian, always ready to sacrifice. A simple-minded knight who can't say no. I sternly commanded Emily, don't make food for Brian next time. This again caused her dissatisfaction. However, Nana's good appetite became a kind of encouragement that made her completely lose herself. I sighed. The future's looking bleak already. Just then, I noticed a letter on the table. Where did this letter come from? Emily answered that it was Brian who received it, so she had no idea who it was from. Who could it be from? The letter started from Lunov, but before I could read it, a voice preempted my action. How have you been lately, Senior Cyan? When did she appear there? Emily immediately went on high alert. Who's there? And I was also surprised to find that Lunov was already standing in front of me. Truly my oversight. It must be because I've been too preoccupied with troubles lately to notice her approach. Lunov calmly stated, I ran away from my home. Meanwhile, in the underground melting wells of the city, two figures quietly appeared in this concealed spot. We need to move quickly. This is the only way to stop Reigen's Rain River. Oh my, are you perhaps worried that I might feel guilty? Royal Academy instructor Nella Aroni signaled that everything was arranged properly. Isn't she a student of your academy as well? You keep reminding me so tiresomely. Are you worried about my teacher-student relationship with Lunov? I'm not so foolish enough to feel compassion compassion for that monster. The male figure finally felt relieved. Nella then informed, "I'll be heading to the rendezvous then. My colleague should have contacted Lunov by now." The male figure then bowed. "All this is for the glory of the Garum Kingdom, to prevent Lunov from making any more startling statements. I had already pulled her into a quiet cafe. This elicited some teasing from her, but she showed no resistance to my assertiveness. You're quite a rough man, Senior Cyan. Who would have thought you'd drag me out of there like that?" I released a barrier spell on the dormitory door. "How did you get past it?" Hearing my counter question, Lunov just smiled lightly. "I simply analyzed the structure of the barrier's magic and then dispelled it with magic. Simple, isn't it?" "That's not simple at all. My magical knowledge comes from accumulations in a past life, so although my magic level isn't high, I can cast some level 9 solar and lunar magics, and Lunov is only 13 years old at this time. Even as a genius magician with full attributes, without extensive knowledge, she couldn't possibly analyze and handle the corresponding elemental energies. Her knowledge is far more terrifying than her talent." Lunov suddenly asked, "Did you read the letter I wrote to you?" I awkwardly responded, "You came in before I could even finish reading that, you know." Lunov smiled leisurely and explained, "I couldn't wait for you to read the letter and then reply, so I came to see you in advance." "Did Rygans make you do this?" My question brought her back to reality. From the moment I heard her Rain River surname, my vigilance towards her was evident. "So, did he ask you to approach me?" I looked her directly in the eyes, waiting for an answer. "Tell me." Lunov's smile faded, but her tone remained calm. "Yes, at the beginning, it was indeed Grandpa who sent me to investigate, but not anymore, though that's for you to decide whether to believe me or not." I candidly stated that I would not easily trust anyone and pressed her further about her real intentions. Lunov sighed softly. "Recently, in the Garum Council, there were a few unfortunate incidents. 2 dragons who were exchanging with the Council went missing somewhere in the Ruin region, and the people who were smuggling items from other countries were discovered dead one after another. In the trace leading to all those incidents, you frequently showed up. Of course, all these were just speculations before, but since our last meeting, I have become certain of these assumptions." Hearing that the magical dragon I had killed was also connected to the Garum Magic Association, I continued to press. "So, what do you plan to do now?" Lunov suddenly said, "I'll be dead soon, Senior. You may have helped me a few days ago, but I know more about the state of my body than anyone else. I'm already damaged beyond help. I think I have, at most, 3 years left to live. Thanks to you, my lifespan has been extended." Although I already had an answer in mind, I still said, "I don't believe you. How are you so calm? Is that how you act? Unless you're out of your mind." Lunov's smile suddenly became more radiant and serene. I wish that was the case too. However, suddenly, my attitude took a drastic turn, and I thought to myself, what an irritating woman. No matter what, these things have nothing to do with me. It's time to say goodbye. Seeing me stand up to leave, Lunov was only slightly surprised. "Are you leaving just like that?" "Yes, I don't want to get involved in some inexplicable trouble." This attitude may seem somewhat rude, but Lunov still gently waved goodbye to me from behind. "Okay, see you later again, Senior." Even Karam couldn't bear to watch. "You're just leaving like this? Is it really okay to leave her there so impolitely? If it were a normal time, this would naturally be inappropriate." I can actually empathize with Lunov, but the reason I can't show her sympathy is that since the beginning, knights from the Garum Magic Association have been watching us from the side. Now, the best thing to do is to leave her and walk away alone. And just as I had left, several knights surrounded Lunov. She sighed lightly. "I thought my way of sneaking out this time was flawless, but you appeared too early. Please come with us, Lady Lunov. Lord Rygans is looking for you." When the knights of the Kingdom of Garum suddenly appeared in front of Lunov, asking her to come with them on Rygans's orders, Lunov hesitated briefly. "In the past, Grandfather always arranged for Sir Victor to escort me away. Where did he go this time? And who are you?" The lead knight immediately explained. "Sir Victor was assigned another task, so this time, our companions from the 6th Guard Division will escort you." Lunov smiled lightly. "You bunch of liars. I actually don't know Victor at all." Wind blade explosion. Lunov acted instantly, the sound of a sonic boom piercing the air, causing immediate chaos at the scene. Only the speed advantage of the wind element allowed her to retreat quickly. However, the knights present were on guard, and although caught off guard, they quickly called for an interception. Lunov didn't dare to stay, but her mind was filled with doubts about these people's identities. Are they the extremists? I must escape from here first. However, suddenly, a figure hidden among the knights eerily blocked Lunov's path. Sleep catch. Caught off guard, Lunov instantly collapsed, unconscious. Beneath the trench coat, the face of a bald man appeared. Even though I was warned before coming not to underestimate this girl, I didn't expect to catch her so quickly. Take her back to the carriage. And I, who should have left, was now hiding far away, out of their detection range. Karam, through her exceptional senses, also noticed this scene. Something's not right. They seem to have started fighting. Could it be that these knights are not sent by the Magic Association? Then who is hiding behind them? As night fell, the carriage finally stopped at a church. The lead bald man went alone to report back. "I've brought Lunov Rain River. Good work." At this moment, Nella sounded like a nun in prayer, her voice filled with sorrow. Such a poor girl. After enduring so many inhumane experiments, her life has been exploited and then casually discarded. But then, her tone shifted, becoming colder. This child is Rygans's proudest creation, embodying the countless delusions of the Rain River family. family. But we are different from Reigans. We will use her for extraordinary good deeds. That way, her life will truly have value, won't it? However, as the night deepened, a sinister black mist swept over the entire camp. The senior knight on guard had just become alert, his mind flashing with Imperial nobility rumors about the Mist Shadow assassins. A sharp sword light flashed, claiming his life. His comrades cried out in shock, unable to revive the colleague who had joked with them during the day. In the intertwining of night and black mist, a silent symphony of death was quietly being composed. They're all dead. What the hell is going on? Stop, please. However, he didn't have more time to clarify his doubts, as my figure had already silently appeared behind him. The sudden silence of the camp finally made the two people in the church sense something was wrong. What happened? The bald man realized only then that they had been followed during the day, but Nella seemed excited instead. It looks like we have visitors. An enemy? What a perfect diversion for a boring night. Ralph, show them what happens to those who oppose us. Ralph's veins bulged. Yes, I will silence them. By this time, I had eradicated all the knights in the camp, the process surprisingly smooth. Wasn't this too easy? Kiram reminded me, the battle is far from over. The two truly powerful enemies are still inside the church. At this moment, Ralph's figure slowly stepped out. Not bad for a brat. Are you alone? His overflowing boiling magic had already blatantly exposed his rage. Are you so afraid of who might be behind me? Then why don't you call your comrades too? This provocation had an immediate effect. He was enraged, powering up his magic to launch a fierce attack at me. Killing a kid like you, I don't need anyone's help. His magical condition is much like Lunov's, but even more volatile and unstable. Are you finished, Ralph? By the time Nella arrived at the camp, hoping to check on Ralph's victorious outcome, she only saw his bulky figure kneeling on the ground, then collapsing heavily. This was certainly not the result she had hoped to see. In the young man wearing the mask in front of her, she could not sense any emotions or magical fluctuations from him. With no emotion, the voice from beneath the mask asked, "Are you the last one? Why capture Lunov?" Nella Aronis unleashed all her magic without explanation, sneering, "If you keep asking so many questions, you won't be favored by the girls. If you want to know the answer, find it out yourself." Her magic shockingly resembled Lunov's. She's able to freely fuse the elements. As I thought, she's the same type as Lunov. Thunder Flame. A mix of magic, the volatile fire element intertwined with the rampant thunder element, making this move devastatingly powerful. A fierce attack heading straight for me. Now, not only did I not get the answers I wanted, but I had even more questions. Is this the result of the Garum Magic Association's human experiments? After just one probe, I put away my previous contempt. The demon blade in my hand swung rapidly, attempting to counter this fierce offensive. Nella said in surprise, "How ridiculous. You actually think you can deflect my magical attack with just a dagger? No one can do that." But in the next moment, I was already close to her. Air leap. The sudden burst of the wind element combined with physical skills allowed me to close in on her in the nick of time, nearly striking a vital point. Nella managed to use the air to spin away just in time, narrowly avoiding my determined strike. The brief confrontation had already deeply alarmed Nella. This kid is too dangerous. I must kill him here. I cannot let him continue to grow. At this moment, I was right behind her, at what she thought was the best time to attack. Charge shot. Nella was confident that this strike would establish her victory, but Kiram's figure suddenly appeared behind her. "I'm here too." Nella realized something was wrong. He has a companion? The spell was already formed. Too late to interrupt, but after Kiram's sneak attack, the direction of the attack was clearly off. The shockwave of the magical shot carved deep furrows in the ground, all the way until it destroyed the outer wall of the church. I looked at it and thought, what brutal mana. The battle ended. Nella was firmly bound by Kiram's energy, still struggling, but already powerless to resist. The total amount of magic in her body was indeed astonishing, and her combat experience was also very rich, especially the last move, Charge Shot, which was powerful enough to be astounding. However, her mistake was provoking someone she shouldn't have. Who ordered Lunov's kidnapping? How many more of you are there? Nella suddenly burst into wild laughter. Ha ha, you're a funny kid. You will know the answer soon. They will come for you. I'll be waiting for you in hell. As she spoke, the volatile elemental force began to lose control inside her. With the backflow of power, her body was slowly torn apart. The hollow in her right eye and the deep bloodstains indicated the price she paid each time she unleashed her magic. Kiram frowned. Is the device that limits magic located at the heart? I confirmed and further explained Kiram's speculation. An artifact that traps the user's mana into their heart, so that's why the mana wasn't able to accumulate in her body. Kiram's lips curled up. I guess Lunov has the same thing. However, when I mentioned these, Nella's psychological defenses completely collapsed. Under the mask, I completely hid my emotions. The evil experiments currently being conducted by the Garum Magic Association, that's the so-called path of evolution, right? Hearing me directly expose the organization's top secrets, Nella could no longer keep calm. Who exactly are you? I moved closer and whispered, you can try to find out the answer yourself, but that will be in hell. Nella cried out in despair. I shouldn't die like this. Dying now would be utterly worthless. But on the battlefield, I never show mercy, especially to an enemy who has just madly stimulated her magic and whose body is already on the verge of collapse. In my previous life, I discovered an ancient book in a laboratory in the Kingdom of Garum. It detailed an artificial artifact called called heart curve, along with related control and experimental methods. The way I sealed it was also based on this book. Even a method to remove it should one fail in utilizing it. She could no longer withstand my powerful strike and gradually disintegrated into nothingness. Behind her, the heart curve shone like a gem. It looks like it's still active, fortunately, I commented. Where will you use it? Karam curiously asked. I asked Karam to bring Lunov out of the carriage, to which she immediately disagreed. I don't want to. Why me? Do you want to get controlled? I asked flatly. In just a few seconds, she immediately complied, bringing Lunov. Lunov's body was on the verge of collapse because of it. Now, I pondered whether this device could also be used to destroy the suppressor already implanted in the body. Although it wasn't explicitly recorded in the ancient book, I thought it was worth a try. I crushed it in one hand and embedded its energy into Lunov's chest. As a blinding light dissipated, Lunov's sky blue eyes finally snapped open. Although I once again intervened to save Lunov, I still chose to leave quietly. The next day, Lunov suddenly woke up from the magic tower, the sunlight gently caressing her cheeks. She had never felt her body so light, as if the long-standing burden was finally lifted. She stared blankly, puzzled. What exactly had happened during her coma? As her bodily functions recovered, her suppressed senses gradually unfolded. A trace of longing in her heart grew wildly like weeds. Why is it that I can feel cyan more than usual? Outside the magic tower, Karam, looking puzzled, asked me why I did these things. What's the point? I just responded indifferently. Maybe Lunov will be useful later. It would be too pity to let her die now. But this excuse could no longer satisfy Karam. I think you're just doing charity work. What if you get stabbed in the back later on? Is Karam worried about me? Or does he have some personal emotions towards Lunov? It's funny to hear that coming from you. Karam immediately bristled. Don't get it wrong. Your body will ultimately belong to me, so you better take good care of it and not senselessly put yourself in danger. Got it. Let's go now. There's no good in staying here long. After I left, Rygans immediately saw Lunov, but the news he heard greatly displeased him. Are you saying that after you were kidnapped, you don't remember anything and you don't know who brought you back? Lunov responded calmly. Yes, grandfather. I can't remember anything other than that. Upon hearing this, Rygans suddenly changed his expression. Do you think I would believe that? The news of the bloody banquet has already alarmed the kingdom, but you're still so negligent. The subordinate standing next to Lunov lost his composure first. I'm sorry, Mr. Rygans. This is all my negligence. I should have gone to pick up the young lady earlier. Rygans composed himself. This is not your fault. She is just too presumptuous. Because she is my granddaughter, it has unfortunately added to your workload. The subordinate immediately bowed in apology. Thank you for your consideration. Rygans continued, leaning in to console. Yes, you have always done your job well. But suddenly, searing flames steamed from Rygans's palms, quickly spreading over the subordinate's entire body. The subordinate's face was full of shock, but Rygans's expression had already darkened. I've always known you had betrayed us, but did you really think, after harming my granddaughter, that I would let you live? It's a misunderstanding. Please, give me a chance to explain. Shut up. The searing breath of fire was unleashed without restraint, Rygans's flames of anger growing wilder. Every additional word you speak disgusts me now. The roaring fire instantly engulfed the subordinate completely. Lunov swallowed her cry of shock. Was that really necessary? He's one of the people who ordered your kidnapping. Now, only Lunov was left facing Rygans directly. Rygans appeared calm, but his tone was oppressive. All right, let's get to the point. Did you find anything about Cyan Vert? Lunov struggled to remain calm. Faced with the sudden change, Rygans was still only concerned about this issue, and she guessed he might already have the answer in his heart. Her response now had to be flawless. I didn't find anything special. In front of her grandfather, Lunov knew she couldn't give anything away. Outright lying wouldn't work, so she cautiously added, I actually returned late because I was meeting him. When we first met, I didn't notice anything special about him. Rygans gradually lost patience, slowly placing his hand on Lunov's shoulder, his tone low and dangerous. You know, this is not the answer I wanted. Just these hands had just personally burned a body to ashes. But now, the owner of these hands was using as gentle a tone as possible, coaxing Lunov to give the answer he wanted. Tell me, Lunov, what exactly is he hiding? He has the bloodline of Vert flowing in him. I'm sure he is not that simple. Or is someone helping him from behind? Lunov's tone remained calm. He's just a child, with only one guardian knight and a useless maid, with no evidence to suggest he's connected to these incidents. Grandfather, why are you so obsessed with him? Rygans finally stopped hiding his emotions, his tone sharp. Are you questioning me? So there is something about the boy. You were born a member of the Rain River family. Your duty is always to obey without question. If you're unwilling to speak, leave now, but you are not allowed to step out of the magic tower. Lunov's eyes, hidden beneath her short hair, were misty with tears. She felt tired and weary, sick of this lineage that only brought sickness and oppression. When I returned to the Royal Academy, I only saw Seth dozing off in front of my door. He must have been guarding here for days. Really, doesn't he attend classes anymore? It looks like I'll have to return to the dormitory later. As I was wandering the corridors, I suddenly heard rumors about a missing academy teacher. What's going on? I thought to myself, is it the magic instructor, Nella? That name, why does it sound so familiar? The one who clarified my doubts was Sica, suddenly appearing behind me, but her expression was unfriendly from the start. It's you. Why did you kill the magic instructor? What do you mean? It wasn't me. I don't even know that instructor. I quickly denied. Of course you haven't heard, because you've skipped almost all your classes. Sica's tone was still unfriendly. Nella came from the Garum Magic Association, a very talented magician, but we have intelligence that she was one of the opponents of Rygans's rule. Since the Royal Academy is a neutral ground, instructors from other kingdoms keep joining, but she should not have done something like kidnapping Lunov, crossing the line. Fortunately, you dealt with the issue before we could act. Now, do you remember a bit? I guess so. So that's why she looked so familiar. Please take this seriously. Can't you be more mindful even when you're killing someone? I asked her how the academy would handle this matter. Sica indicated that other teachers would temporarily take over the classes until a new magic instructor arrived to replace Nella. However, she now had a new task for me to take on. Meanwhile, on a long journey to Ruin City, a gentleman gracefully stretched his body. The golden waves of wheat and the gentle breeze continuously brushed his cheeks, sweeping away the fatigue of the journey. He couldn't help but exclaim, "I really love the scenery." Seeing his good mood, the coachman couldn't resist striking up a conversation. "I thought you would like the countryside scenery. After all, it's not common in the city. What brings you here?" Boris chuckled. "There was a job I wanted, and I heard that the position is available now. That's why I'm now in a hurry." The coachman joked, "Then I'd venture to guess you're a teacher." Boris laughed heartily. Meanwhile, in the dormitory at the Royal Academy, the scene was quite different. After the novelty of the first few days, Emily lay listlessly on the sofa. "I'm so bored." Kram gritted her teeth and said, "Move over. I told you, this is my spot." Emily was unconcerned. "Where did that come from?" "This is the young master's dorm. None of it belongs to you." She clearly didn't know whom she had angered. When I returned to the dorm, I only saw Emily alone, having retreated into herself. "What are you doing?" "Miss Kram is so scary." I paid it no mind. "Get up, Kram. We have a new mission." Emily immediately piped up, "Young master, take me with you." I immediately refused. "No, you have a more important task to do." Emily asked, half believing, "Really? Really?" "Yes. You need to make sure Nana never goes hungry." Emily suddenly had a burst of insight. "That's not important at all. You're just trying to get me off your back." However, the noise coming from Nana's room immediately stopped her complaints. She was reminded again of the fear she felt when Nana had last gone on a rampage. At that moment, Nana appeared. "Daddy's back. Nana is so hungry." Emily immediately went on high alert. "Quick, eat some bread." Nana immediately showed a satisfied expression. Emily confidently assured, "Leave it all to me. I have great confidence in my cooking skills." "Well done, Emily. I believe you are the only one for this job." Of course, if Brian weren't still recovering from detoxification, this period could have been described as perfect. But don't feed Brian, though. He's still recovering. Kram couldn't help but be curious about the journey ahead. I told her that our next destination was the city of Lambaster in the southwestern part of the empire, a city of crime ruled by money and violence. Chaos and bloodshed occur daily here, and its notorious arena is known worldwide for its cruelty. Meanwhile, the arena in Lambaster was abuzz with noise, curses, and jeers. "Don't disappoint us. Hey, I bet on you. Crush him, Zelbert." Human fighter. Zaber versus the giant. Zelbert. After trading taunts before the fight, Zaber looked at his opponent and couldn't help but say, "What a monster." The giant mockingly taunted Zaber's weakness. "How should I kill you? They're telling me to crush you. What do you think? Shut it and just come at me. You pig." The small-statured human fighter decided to use his speed advantage and fight desperately. However, before his leaping figure even landed, he was tightly grasped by the giant. Damn, his slow speed was all a ruse. "I choose. I'm gonna crush you." Unfortunately, Zabers had permanently lost his chance for a rematch. Zabers down. The large yet agile giant skilled in psychological tactics. Zelbert wins. Just stepping into Lambaster City, Kram was greatly disappointed by the dirtiness and disorder of the city. The streets were full of people living in a stupor, their eyes devoid of life. I calmly stated, "The city of Ruin where we now live is a neutral city under international agreements, hence it enjoys a rare peace. But this place, this is the true state of the world." Kram, puzzled, asked, "What do you mean by that?" Just as I was about to answer, a group of men suddenly blocked our path. "Hey, miss, why not ditch this kid and have some fun with some real men? Of course, we might be a bit rough." "Miss, are you talking to me?" Kram was full of confusion, clearly unimpressed by the address. My voice came just in time. "Well, it is because there are quite a lot of criminals, just like these people right here. You better scram." Kid. Hearing this, I can't help but look at them uninterestedly and smirk. By the time I turned to leave, only beaten bodies remained on the ground. I put a bag of gold coins on the table and demanded the best room. The attendant instead questioned me. "Sorry, but how old are you?" I brush off her question and instead act irritably. "Did you not hear me? I said, book me the best room for a single person. Is this how you treat your customers? Who's the owner of this place?" The attendant felt nervous, then finally said, "Welcome to Lambaster Cage. The difficulty of this mission lies in identifying the mysterious figure behind the scenes. But so far, no one has ever seen her, so blindly searching around is pointless." When I noticed an increasing number of luxury carriages stopping in front of the inn, I was sure the opportunity one had been waiting for had finally arrived. I walked out of my room and greeted the innkeeper familiarly. "Did you say your name was Lisa?" She responded with a smile. "Yes, you can call me Lisa of the Lambaster Cage. What can I help you with?" I stated my purpose directly. "I'd like to use the cage." "Sorry, guest. According to the rules, rules. New customers are not allowed to use the cage. Is that so? She was lying. What about all those new guests who checked in these days? Why are they all missing? Or is it that I'm the only newcomer? In the moment of verbal confrontation, I sharply sensed a hint of murderous intent, but the next second, she quickly bowed and apologized, showing weakness while not backing down in her stance. Interesting. Let's see what you are really worried about. A massive wave of murderous intent surged from within me. Lisa could no longer hold back. She immediately drew a hidden weapon to shoot at me. I quickly dodged and knocked down 3 projectiles in the air. By the time Lisa regained her senses, all I had thrown was a single coin. She felt a surge of fear. She had only reacted instinctively to a perceived threat to her life, not intending to kill me, but she hadn't expected me to block so easily. She realized that if the wave of murderous intent had been stronger, she might not have come out unscathed. Coming from me, this kid in front of her was not simple at all. Man, the precious golden coin. Lisa hastily apologized. Sir, I'm sorry, but I was firm. Did you just try to attack me? Lisa hurriedly explained herself. It's a misunderstanding. I didn't mean to harm you at all. I'm very displeased right now. Are you going to take responsibility for it? Lisa felt defeated. Behind this inn, indeed, there was a secret door leading to the cage arena. Just as I had suspected, someone running an inn in such a chaotic area couldn't possibly be as simple as they appeared. You'll get to the cage if you follow these stairs. Seeing that I made no other unreasonable demands, Lisa gave me a stamp for a VIP room as we parted. She explained, it's given to customers who use special rooms. You'll be pretty safe if you keep that on you. Although I don't know why you insist on going to the cage, the best course of action is to leave this city as soon as possible. Otherwise, no amount of lives will be enough to save you. She was quite interesting, but I prefer to do my own thing. So before parting, I left her with these words. I'll take what you just said as a threat and remember it forever. I stepped onto the corridor of the secret passage. Kiram's voice faintly echoed. Why didn't you just ask that woman to bring the owner? The order was to bring out the Lambaster cage's owner anyway, right? It would hardly be possible. Lisa Nilov, she's the veiled individual and owner of Lambaster cage. There are no clues about her at all. Kiram, visibly irritated, said, why did she give such a riddle-like order anyway? Pertaining to Sica. I guess we'll figure it out soon, I answered while walking down the stairs. You make it sound like you know this place. Kiram quickly replied. I have come here a few times in my past life. Well, at least until this place collapsed because of the Civil War. Just how much of a mess is this area? Anyway, Kiram curiously asked. As I said, you'll figure it out soon. Loud cheers and shouts can be heard behind the door. The true Lambaster cage. In another corner of this city, the boss smirked and asked, a young boy did this to you? The blonde thug I had beaten up was kneeling before his boss, pleading for revenge against me, but only received a scoff. I see. So a kid like that is in the Lambaster cage? He's not just any kid, and he's now staying in a VIP room. We have no way to get to him, so we came to you, Mr. Gunther. The boss then replied, is he a son of a noble household then? The blonde thug immediately answered, I'm not sure, but I'm upset. Please help us, Mr. Gunther. I can't even go around in public anymore. Gunther then showed an excited expression. That's much more interesting. I'm interested in checking out what he looks like first. We'll be heading to the Lambaster cage right away. The Lambaster cage was still a scene of fervor, with blood and death igniting everyone's passions and desires. Kiram finally began to understand my words, realizing why this city eventually fell. Such contests, though brutal, attract more the eyes of gamblers, and that is precisely why I came here. Finding Lisa Nilov is hard, but making her come to us is much easier. Hearing this, Kiram is puzzled. Just then, my presence finally attracted the guard's attention. Children are not allowed in here. The timing was just right. I knocked him down with a punch. Another guard came running. Jason, you brat, just what the hell are you doing to him? I grabbed his hair, then swiftly moved forward, punching relentlessly. The guard were taken aback by my sudden frenzy. The guard is finally knocked out to the ground, and I coldly spoke. Now, where do I sign up to fight, instead of just watching or betting? As I stepped onto the arena, the crowd in the stands did not welcome me, clamoring for me to leave. This was not because they felt a hint of pity for a child of my age, but because they were dissatisfied with the arena sending a child to fight when no suitable opponents were available. How could a child bring the blood and thrill they expected? Even if it were a one-sided slaughter, that would be too dull. But I was deaf to the boos from the crowd, my eyes only on my opponent, the giant Zelbert. Rumors say he's not of giant blood but descended from ogres. His brutal and cunning nature further supports this. Seeing an opponent like me, a child, he showed no intention of letting me go, even seeming quite excited. I've already thought of how you will die. A little twerp like you, who knows nothing of the world, fits to be crushed to death. As he spoke, he extended a thick finger towards me. I didn't back down but stepped forward, breaking his index finger without hesitation. Then, I leaped up, giving him no chance to breathe. A powerful punch, charged with force, landed heavily on his face. This wasn't my first time fighting an enemy of such massive stature. In my eyes, he was all flaws, but the reason I chose to end the fight so quickly and efficiently was merely to raise my rank in the arena faster. The giant Zelbert, his body like a hill, thunderously fell to the ground. The boos from the stands were instantly replaced by gasps of shock. Incredible. It's an unbelievable situation. Simon from Ramia wins. I casually looked up. Next time, they should send me a more suitable opponent. Kiram's voice drifted faintly. Simon of Vermia? I can't go around revealing my real name. Despite how I look, I'm still the son of a duke. What's the point of hiding your name when you show everyone your face? I signaled her not to worry. I cast perception manipulation on myself, so you don't have to worry about that. That idiot god must have shared his authority all on his accord again. Perception manipulation. People would be able to recognize you if they directly meet you, but they'll never recall your face no matter how hard they try. I paused, then casually said, it's unlike you to worry. K-Ram immediately denied. Don't flatter yourself. I wasn't worrying, you know. Meanwhile, on the other side of the stands, a man sat calmly, out of place amid the surrounding noise. He was Gunther, here for revenge. Simon of Vermia. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. All right, I've chosen you as my opponent. Don't let me down, Simon. At the same time, on my way back, another confrontation was happening in the inn. Lisa looked at the newcomer with disfavor. The newcomer was Delia from Lambaster City, who was in charge of maintaining order. Delia's face showed disgust, and his tone was unmistakably impatient. I don't want to stay here a second longer, so I'll make this quick. The boy who caused the disturbance today, hand him over to me. Lisa countered sharply. I don't know what you're talking about, but you better take your men and get out of here. Delia's veins bulged as he sneered. Once my men start, they hold nothing back. I don't want to go that far, especially since he was the one who caused trouble on my turf first. Lisa stood her ground, stealthily drew her weapon, ready for defense. I won't allow any more of your misconduct here, especially more so if it's related to our guest here. Delia was overjoyed at her words. So he really is staying here? His men also chimed in. Boss, give the order. We'll flatten this place right now. Lisa's cold sweat on her forehead betrayed her inner turmoil. That brat, he made a mess in the end. What should I do? This is getting annoying. Lisa herself couldn't explain why she felt the need to protect the boy, but suddenly a voice broke the standoff. Are you perhaps looking for me? Everyone turned in astonishment. When did he appear there? Even Lisa was shocked. Esteemed guest, since when were you there? I walked steadily towards Delia, my tone calm. If there's something to discuss, you can talk to me directly now. No need to pressure Lisa. However, upon seeing me, Delia felt a strange emotion welling up inside. My explanation of the situation was like a mist shrouded in a thin veil. She didn't listen to a word, yet felt that every sentence, every syllable I uttered seemed to carry a magic, piercing into her mind. She instinctively grabbed my hand, her voice trembling slightly. You are so right, but what I'm more concerned about now is, what is your name? It's Simon. She blushed immediately. Simon, what a dashing name. Only a brave gentleman and a handsome face like yours deserve it. Lisa felt a chill. He's still a minor. You kid, hurry up and leave here with me. I signaled to Lisa not to worry. The situation is still under my control. Lisa couldn't help but retort. You have no idea what kind of danger I'm worried about. Delia then handed me her business card. Here's my card. I hope we can have a deep conversation later. Darling, Delia's Night of Pleasure? What a strange name. Delia chuckled. Please be sure to visit. I shuddered. Only then did I belatedly realize she was a crazy woman after all. Before Delia left, she added, as for you, Sir Simon, I'll give you special service for free. Both Lisa and I stood there speechlessly. Did you ever listen to my advice? What did I do? Those guys were the ones who picked a fight with me first. Didn't you hear? She looked at me seriously. I heard you even enter the cage as a combatant and won. Huh? News goes around fast. I commented. It's a small place around here. She added, just in case you're considering it, for your own good, it's best not to sneak close to the Night of Pleasure. I'm not going anywhere near that place. I turned back to my room, and suddenly a deep voice whispered in Lisa's ear. So Delia backed off on her own? That's good. Hearing this, Lisa was a little bit shocked. Lady Linza, it's Lambaster Cage's underground ruler, Linza Nilov. You seem to be getting quite close with that kid. Lisa promptly bowed and explained. I was just taking care of a VIP guest. Didn't you also give him advice? Linza added. It's nothing personal. After all, just a kid. Nothing noteworthy. A kid? A scornful sneer suddenly interrupted their conversation. Gunther openly mocked. Lisa, you're underestimating him a bit too much. Lisa immediately composed herself. Gunther Rictus, why are you here? Not content to stay in your junkyard. You come to stir up trouble on my turf? Linza stopped their argument. I'm the one who called Gunther here. Lisa immediately asked, pardon? Why did you call him? Lisa, I want you to personally arrange a match for him. Lisa's expression changed dramatically. But Gunther has been banned from the arena for a long time. Who do you intend him to fight? Gunther spoke up first. Simon of Vermia. I will personally defeat him. How about it? Don't you smell the money pouring already? Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, a harsh roar continued to emanate from the inner chamber. This isn't it either. Delia's two subordinates couldn't help but look back frequently. How many times has it been today? Her voice is getting louder. Another subordinate chimed in jokingly. She was drunk before we left the inn. Delia vowed she'd be the first woman to seduce him, but it looks like she's smitten real good by that kid now. I believe she will spare no expense to have him. His companion agreed. After all, she has the sort to not rest until she gets what she wants. I feel bad for the kid. I'm just glad that we look ordinary. Inside the chamber, the roaring continued. Delia had fallen into madness, muttering to herself, no, it's still not right. She furiously crumpled a portrait into a ball of waste paper. Damn it. I've definitely seen that handsome face before, but why can't I remember it? Why? It's the most beautiful face I've ever seen in this world. Why is my memory fogged up like this? Damn it. Why is it all so hazy? as if there's a fog around his face, but this makes me want him even more. Sir Simon of Vermia. Drinking, debauchery, and even gambling. A place for all sorts of pleasures. The Lambaster Entertainment District. I do not intend to set foot there, especially after learning about Delkia's peculiar tastes, which makes me keep my distance even more. It seems I will have to try finding clues in other areas, but as I turned to leave, a little girl ran straight into my arms. She dropped the basket she was holding. "Are you alright?" I quickly asked. She hastily apologized. "Please forgive me, my lord." Looking at her on the floor, it seemed I should be the one apologizing. "Aren't these cigarettes?" I helped her pick up the contents of her basket. "Are you hurt?" I should be the one to apologize. She immediately replied, "I'm fine." The little girl repeatedly thanked me for my kindness, and it was not hard to see from her anxious demeanor that this city was not kind to its lower-class children. I handed her the basket. "You've got a lot there. Are you selling them?" "Yes, sir. These are the fine cigarettes from the Grey Merchant Group. Would you like to buy one?" I refused. "I don't smoke." "The Grey Merchant Group? Was there always a merchant group called that?" "I see. I'm sorry." She apologized immediately. "Where are you going to sell all that?" "If I'm lucky enough tonight, I can sell them all in the alley on the west side, and then I can go home before sunrise." Hearing this, I thought to myself, she has to sell them all to go home. I think I have a good idea of what's going on. Would this gold coin be enough to buy all your goods? "But sir, you just said you don't smoke." "Don't worry about it. Just take it." "Of course. Here's a little extra reward. A personal gift from me." 2 shiny gold coins spun between my fingers. Their clinking sound like the girl's joyful cheers. "Thank you, sir. I won't forget you." After she left, Kiram's figure slowly emerged. "You might as well become a philanthropist, right?" I sighed softly. "It's nothing like that. Her way home leads through the dump. Let's go follow her." Confused, Kiram asked, "Why do you want to follow her?" "You'll find out when we get there." Moments later, the girl's figure was suddenly thrown forward. It was the blonde thug. "I told you she had more than just 1 gold coin on her. That little brat tricked us. I'm sure it's a lie that she sold all those cigarettes today, too." "What good timing. I need to vent somehow because of Guy, Simon, or whatever he's called." The girl cried out, "I didn't steal it. I'm serious. Please believe me." But the blonde thug was unmoved. At that moment, a stern voice suddenly rang out. "She already told you to believe her. Why don't you stop?" Cold sweat instantly crept up the blonde thug's forehead. He knew this voice all too well. "It's truly pitiful. You guys have been stealing this kid's money all along." The blonde thug went still for a moment, but suddenly remembered this was his turf and got bold again, starting to shout. However, he was quickly knocked down by me again. The little girl saw everything and was shocked. "Stop. We're sorry. Why are you doing this to us?" The blonde thug cried out. "Why, you ask? The little things make me happy, you see. For example," I sneered, "making bad guys suffer. Since you're unwilling to work with your own hands and feet, I'll just have to disable them for you." The blonde thug cried out loud from the pain. I slowly picked up the dropped gold coins. "It's going to be difficult for that guy to walk for the time being." I handed it to the girl. "Here, don't drop it this time." However, a round of applause suddenly came from the side. Gunther's figure slowly emerged from the shadows. "How impressive. Excellent. Who are you? Do you know me?" Strange, given how familiar he seems. It's like it's not the first time he's seen me. He shouldn't be able to recognize me because of the perception manipulation though. The next moment, Gunther cleared it up for me. "I was uncertain about you, but there's only one person who's capable of the same touch as you." He flashed a slight smile and continued, "So, you must be Simon from Romea, right? Nice to meet you. I'm Gunther Rictus. I take care of the landfill." Good timing. There was something I wanted to ask the guy laying down over there. I can just ask you instead. Gunther looked down at the blonde thug beaten to a pulp. "Oh, this guy? I see he's useless now." The fallen blonde thug immediately cried out to Gunther for help, saying the young man before him was the person he had asked Gunther to deal with. A cold smile flashed on Gunther's lips, then suddenly kicked his head hard. "Sorry, but you're useless now. I might as well clean you up first." The girl was gravely shocked at what she had just witnessed. His madness stirred a sense of revulsion in me. I don't think there was any need to kill him, though. "Sorry, I was just riled up." A bloodthirsty glint flashed in Gunther's eyes. "I wanted to have a match with you, so I was on my way from meeting the manager of the Lambaster cage. This guy, he knows Leans and I'll off." I threw a kick without hesitation. Although my attack was unexpected, Gunther had an animal-like intuition, his limbs reacting faster than his mind. He smirked and thought, "How's his attack so heavy? You want to have a go, don't you? Then let's freaking go." After just a few exchanges, Gunther's battle fever was fully ignited. "Fantastic. That's the spirit. I'm glad you came to me directly. Let's settle this right now." In the next moment, Gunther's fists began to harden, delivering a thunderous blow with astonishing destructive power. He's just destroying everything, isn't he? Does he possess a secret technique for enhancing strength? But more frenzy than his punches was his boiling battle intent. "We don't have to wait until game day to fight." He then leaped from the ground. "You're better than I imagined, Simon. Keep using your full strength to please me. He's not in his right mind." Amidst his words, punches fell like raindrops falling consecutively. At the same time, in a dimension of the Dark God, Sica sat silently before the altar. The voice of the Dark God rose at this moment. "It seems you've issued an interesting mission. The target is not on the list for purification." Sica's lips curled up. "While I don't intend to lecture you, but it's unusual of you to drag that child into your personal matters." Sica did not deny it. Her response calm. "There is indeed no need for you to lecture me. As my judgment is not mistaken. However, I still insist that Lisa Nilov must be eliminated. Hearing this, the Dark God thought for a moment, then Sica continued, this could also serve to test Cyan Vert to see if I can trust him as my successor, or, she paused, but the Dark God continued, or he'll become like Lisa Nilov. The Dark God showed a slight smile. You have quite an interesting question. Upon hearing this, Sica also smiled slightly. I'm sure we'll find out soon because we can never guess the fate of a human. Meanwhile, I fortunately survived from Gunther's attack. To think you can still stand from that attack. It was well worth finding you, Simon. Alright then, shall we continue? Then he flashed a wild smile. Make me happier, Simon of Hermia. Eager for the battle upon learning that Gunther held information about the Mastermind, I launched an assault without delay. Where is Lisa Nilov? Talk. Still focused on that woman, huh? He said while blocking my attacks. Enough underestimating me. The fierce exchange of blows only made him more frenzied. Looking at him, I realized his keratinized arms acted like an impenetrable barrier, deflecting all attacks and making it impossible to inflict any damage. He roared continuously as his arch-like muscles bulged. Try dodging this. The next moment, a violent shockwave tore through the ground. However, I was able to dodge it, landing on higher ground. Nicely done, Simon. You're better than I expected. Get down here. I'm not done with you. K-Ram seemed eager to join in, but I stopped her impulsiveness. Hold it. I think someone's here. At that moment, a voice calling for Gunther to stop suddenly sounded, but a throwing knife arrived even before the voice. Gunther, stop. What? Are you going to get in my way? Do you have a death wish? Lisa, pointing a knife at him, said, then why are you picking a fight with our esteemed guest? Gunther couldn't help but retort. He's the one who started it. You know, make up something believable. No, can't you tell I'm telling the truth? Why do you always act this way with me? Do you think I would believe that? You are trouble itself. Looking at this, I asked myself, do they know each other? The two had long been at odds, and Gunther, not wanting to argue further, stormed off. But before leaving, he didn't forget to remind me about the duel agreement. Are you hurt anywhere, sir? I jumped down and replied, I'm fine. It's just, the battle was interrupted, which also soured my mood a bit. But Lisa's sudden appearance clearly wasn't without reason. Considering Gunther's recent mention of a master, it seemed Lisa was here to convey Lisa's orders. Do you have something to request from me? Lisa appeared somewhat surprised when I voiced her intent. I gave her my answer directly. I heard earlier that he met the manager to arrange a fight with me. I'll allow it. Fine by me. Lisa was a bit taken aback. Really? Yes. However, in return, there is a condition. My words pointed to the little girl crouched beside us. You need to give her a job. A week passed, and rumors of the duel had spread throughout Lambaster. Hearing that the long-retired champion Gunther was fighting again, the city's residents were thrilled. Lambaster was soon in an uproar with talks of the match between me and Gunther. During these days, I also participated in some matches alone, getting a grasp of the local rules. First, no weapons are allowed. Second, if the opponent loses their will to fight any further, stop the match at once. Because of that, I naturally followed the third rule to not kill my opponent. However, on the day of the duel, when the host suddenly announced that it was a no-rules match, this is specially permitted by the cage master just now, I was still somewhat caught off guard. Wait, a no-rule match? It's just as it says. There are no rules. I haven't heard anything about this, though. In contrast, Gunther seemed much more composed, even leisurely fitting himself with a pair of metal knuckles, his face showing eager anticipation. I've been waiting a long time for this day. Hey, where did you get that from? Judge, this isn't fair. I was impatient, but as the bell signaling the start of the match rang, the arena erupted. Observing from afar was the cage master, Lisa. Now, how about you show me skills, Simon of Hermia? Didn't anyone tell you this is a no-rules fight? Absolutely. I haven't heard about this. You know, if you're scared, go pick a weapon now. No one informed me in advance, but you know it doesn't matter too much to me. Magic starts gathering on my hands. I have my measures that I thought of, so come at me without worry. Seeing the surge of magic in my hands, Gunther's smile took on a playful edge. Magic? Such child's play is too boring. I really worry I might accidentally kill you. I don't recall this being a death match. You must not have heard about me because I realized the feeling of turning a person into a waste. After all, what I miss most here is the thrill of the kill. Ah, is that so? I replied, looking uninterested. I'll start by gouging out those arrogant eyes of yours. Those keratinized arms must be Gunther's trick to being unbeatable in the ring, but to announce to your opponent your target beforehand is perhaps too arrogant. As Gunther charged toward me, I quickly summoned the demon blade. In the moment I ducked, the thin blade swished, sounding like fabric tearing. I stood firm, and an arm quietly fell to the ground. Gunther coughed up from pain. The crowd was confused. What? Did anyone see what happened? Everything happened so fast. Gunther fell to his knees, his face twisted in fury. Damn it. My arm, you bastard. I'll destroy you. I looked at him seriously. You'd better shut up right now, or you might actually die. In the moment when the momentum was suddenly released, Gunther froze completely. In this rule-less fight, you should have been the one worried from the start. Gunther has gone silent. Simon of Hermia wins. I won the match, but in the spectator stands, a spectator who looked like a wealthy businessman was unusually excited, muttering to himself, that dark mist and that mysterious mana. I'm certain it must be the demon blade, a divine artifact. No doubt about it. Meanwhile, after the match, I couldn't help but think someone withheld information about the rules of the tournament tournament. Did Lisa figure out my intentions or something? Back at the inn, the little girl immediately offered me a cold drink. That was a great match, Sir Simon. Has she started working here already? Yes. Miss Lisa told me to help assist the facility. Her name tag read Louis, so that was her name, and she seemed to be adjusting quite well. I patted her head. Do your best, esteemed guest. A voice called out. Here she comes. I'll have to raise proper complaints about what happened today. However, before I could speak, she bowed deeply. It was Lisa's voice. I think I owe you an apology for today's events. I'm deeply sorry, sir. Why did you hide the fact that today's match will have no rules? Hearing my question, Lisa immediately denied it. Hide? Certainly not. Only the Master and Gunther knew about it. But I guess it was my oversight. I should have confirmed it in advance. I then made a request to meet Lisa, but Lisa refused without hesitation. The Master prefers to act in secrecy. Even I don't know her whereabouts. Her attitude didn't seem deceitful. It looked like this route was a dead end. However, the next moment, a sudden voice interrupted my thoughts. Excuse me for intruding, but could I have a bit of your time? Who are you? There's no chance you'd know who I am. The person immediately introduced himself. I'm Morris from Grey Merchant Group, and I've came here to make an offer for the demon blade you happen to possess. How about you sell it to me? The demon blade is an artifact that inherited the power of the dark god, but today, a clueless merchant actually wanted to buy it. What exactly are you talking about? Morris wouldn't take no for an answer. He even bluntly said there was no need for me to hide, as he was probably the only one who recognized it. He had previously worked at the Alba's trading company, managing weapon supplies. After the chairman was assassinated 2 years ago, he left that place and joined the Grey Merchant Group, acting as the manager. He recognized the weapon in my hand as the demon blade from the crowd and promised to pay any price. How ridiculous. The demon blade of the Black Mist. It must have been waiting for its master heir. Not to mention that I would never sell out K-Ram. Just as merchant status alone makes him inclined to buy low and sell high as his duty, the so-called paying any price is utterly meaningless. I directly grabbed his throat. How interesting. You just said you were the only one who recognized it, right? Wonderful. There would be nobody left who would know if I eliminated you. Suddenly, several masked figures appeared around us. Release Lord Morris at once if you value your life. I sneered. Haha, is this supposed to be a joke? The murderous intent in my eyes thickened. Do you think you can stop me with this insignificant lot? He must have hired the shadow assassins from Spania. Seems like he decided to focus a bit more on security after what happened to Zikram and Albus. However, do you think they can save you before I snap your neck? My icy tone finally made Morris realize that the young man before him was not a regular child. He originally thought I was just a noble offspring, easily swayed or intimidated, but now he found himself against a much tougher opponent. The assassins he had spent a fortune to hire could not provide him any protection now. Please, I beg you. But it wasn't his pleading that stopped me, but a cry of alarm from beside me. Lisa still appeared determined to defend her guest, but what I truly cared about at that moment was the frightened look in the little girl Louis's eyes. Forget it. I don't want to leave her with a psychological scar. How troublesome. I released Morris. I'll let you slide just this once. Leave before I change my mind. He was already unable to cope with the situation. What should we do, Lord Morris? Withdraw your swords. All of you. Even in struggle he is still cocky. You must have let a bit too much blood go to your head, Sir Simon. I'll be heading back this time, but my offer still stands, so I hope you will kindly consider it. After that, he stormed out with his guards. The Grey Merchant Group, so that was the turning point that was created after I killed Zikram and Albus. Are you okay, Sir Simon? A voice interrupted my thoughts. It was Louis. Yes, I'm fine, but a bunch of scary people were around you, she added. I patted her head and reassured her. There's no need for you to worry. Then I looked up to Lisa. That aside, I have something to ask you, Lisa. What is it, sir? In a serious voice, I said. I want to meet her, the manager of the Lambaster cage. Hearing this, Lisa didn't know how to respond. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Gunther's people try to calm him down. Calm down, Sir Gunther. Otherwise, your wounds will reopen. He was beyond mad, shouting my name in frustration. I have to kill him, or I'll end up feeling like I'll be the one to die instead. The memory of the match flashed through his mind. It felt like I was powerless before that bastard. Gunther knelt down, thinking, what can I do to destroy him? I can't think. I really can't think of a way at all. Then, suddenly, the image of Louis flashed into his memory. He suddenly thought of a plan. He immediately chuckled. That's right, that girl was there. I can shake up that bastard Simon with that girl. He looked at the cigarette in his hand. I've figured out a solution. Back at the inn, Louis is diligently doing her chores when the door suddenly opens. A guest this late? Welcome to the Lambaster cage. Gunther flashes a smile. Louis, realizing who it is gravely shocked and unable to utter a word. Hey, kid, you remember me, right? Louis stuttered but replied, yes. Then, could you help me a bit? On the other side of the inn, I was talking to Lisa. Why can't I meet her? Do I need to file an official complaint? She's not the kind of person you can meet so easily even if you did that. Why are you covering for Lisa Nyloff that much? Hearing this, Lisa immediately replied, so you know her name as well. You really aren't just any ordinary person, as I thought. Listen closely, she is paying attention to you as well. She was the one who set up your match against Gunther, and also the one who suddenly changed the rules of the match. So let me warn you with due respect. Leave this place at once or else you might really die. Hearing this, I can't help but think, just whose side is Lisa on? Is this simply family or work ethic or something? While we were talking, a loud scream came from outside. Lisa immediately realized it Louis's voice, and it was coming from the lobby. Both of us immediately ran out to the lobby. When we arrived, it was a complete mess. Who would do such a thing? I picked up something from the floor and said, I can guess who it is. Lisa asked what I had found. It's Louis's name tag. You stay here. I'll bring her back. Lisa tried to stop me. Wait, we're not even certain who it is. However, the next second, feeling my aura, she stopped. I told you, I can guess who it is. Meanwhile, at Delkia's room, it was a mess from the sketches she drew trying to remember my face. It's no good for a lady's room to be this filthy. Someone commented. Delkia, looking tired, replied, who permitted you to enter? Do you want to die? It was Morris. You're not exactly a pretty sight. Delkia. Morris, why are you here? Shouldn't it be obvious why a merchant would come to visit? I'm here to offer you a deal. However, Delkia immediately responded, I don't have any preference for pigs, you know? Morris picked up one of the sketches. You must have been quite smitten with that boy, whose face you can't even recall. What makes you think you can say that as if you know anything? I'll cut to the chase since I don't have much time. Then he offered a small bottle of potion. This is a powerful paralysis potion I've purchased from the Giram Kingdom, he said. You should be able to obtain the boy with this. When he handed it to Delkia, she asked, what do you want? All I need is just one item that boy happens to possess. You can have his body all to yourself. Delkia confirmed if that was all he really wanted, and Morris confirmed. On his way out, he thought to himself, whoever it may be, all I need them to do is eliminate that boy called Simon. My role is to provide them with the proper tools. Anyhow, I'll have to hope that Gunther takes care of that kid well. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Gunther chuckled. I've been waiting for you, Simon of Vermia. I immediately asked him, where's the kid? Gunther threw something at me. Here's a souvenir. It landed right in front of me. Realizing it was an ear, I was shocked. I've dumped the rest in here. Try taking it if you can. I sneered. You could have just said you wanted to die instead. His arm began regenerating. Yeah, that's how it should be. His eyes were full of murderous intent. Come at me, Simon.